Today, police announcing the arrest of 14 people, including 3 kids under 18, all said to be gang members police say have terrorized Yonkers for years.
These 14 people are responsible for 17 assaults, 30 robberies, and 10 firearm arrests.
Arrests are made after a gang sweep in Yonkers. Months-long investigation targeted 8 suspected members of this gang. It's accused in several shootings and assaults, including a shooting on June 9th where a man was wounded in the leg.
We are announcing a series of arrests targeting known members of the Bloodstone gang. These arrests are the result of an intensive joint investigation dubbed Operation Bloodstone.
The defendants allegedly operated in and around the Nodine Hill area, specifically the Elm Street corridor, and were engaged in illegal narcotic sales.
Yonkers, New York, a city with deep historical roots, from its early Dutch settlers to its rise as an industrial powerhouse. But behind the city's rich history lies a darker reality: decades of organized crime, gang violence, and law enforcement crackdowns. From the infamous 150 Clan to the ruthless 300 Bloodhound Brims, gangs have left an undeniable mark on Yonkers streets, engaging in violent turf wars, drug trafficking, and high-profile indictments. In this video, we take a deep dive into the history of gang activity in Yonkers, uncovering how law enforcement dismantled these criminal organizations and the lasting impact on the community.
More than a half dozen alleged gang members are under arrest, accused of terrorizing a neighborhood in Westchester County.
8 members of what police describe as the 150 Clan were busted by gang units from the Yonkers Police Department and the Westchester County District Attorney's Office. The 150 Clan got its name, police say, from this building on Elm Street in the Nodine Hill section of Yonkers, the base of their alleged violent and illegal activity. They are all being charged in a shooting incident back in June in which a man was wounded.
After a gang sweep in Yonkers, months-long investigation targeted 8 suspected members of this gang. It's accused in several shootings and assaults, including a shooting on June 9th where a man was wounded in the leg.
In a major crackdown on gang-related violence, Yonkers officials announced the results of an extensive 8-month investigation targeting the 150 Clan gang. The investigation aimed to address the gang's criminal activities, which primarily took place in and around the Nodine Hill area on Yonkers' west side. Yonkers police arrested 8 individuals implicated in the investigation. The 150 Clan gang had been accused of engaging in multiple violent acts, including shootings and assaults. One notable incident occurred on June 9, 2018, when a victim was shot at twice and struck in the leg. Authorities reviewed numerous incidents linked to the gang, conducting interviews, debriefings, and physical surveillance, as well as analyzing video footage and executing multiple search warrants. During the investigation and subsequent searches, detectives recovered 2 .45 caliber semi-automatic pistols, 1 .380 caliber semi-automatic pistol, a military-style bulletproof vest, dozens of rounds of ammunition, multiple decks of H, and other evidence tied to the gang's activities.
Today, we are announcing a series of arrests targeting known members of the Bloodstone gang. These arrests are the result of an intensive joint investigation dubbed Operation Bloodstone. The group was centered in the Nodine Hill section of Yonkers, but the arrests were made at other locations as well. Consider this to be a group of local individuals who have identified themselves as the Bloodstone gang. There is one of the individuals is 39 years old, James Bryant. We believe him to be one of the controlling members of this group.
Members of the Bloodstone Street gang had long-standing ties to the Nodine Hill area in Yonkers. According to a 32-page indictment released in 2018, the gang sought to control this neighborhood through violence and intimidation, aiming to dominate the local drug trade and suppress rivals. Despite their efforts, Yonkers police noted that their activities were largely limited to a small section on the city's west side. Sergeant Dean Politopoulos highlighted that crime in Yonkers, including areas like Nodine Hill, had reached historically low levels due to increased police resources and targeted enforcement efforts. The indictment detailed several violent incidents linked to the gang. In early 2016, 3 members participated in a shooting as part of an initiation at School Street and Nepperhan Avenue. On January 20, 2017, Travis Pearson attacked a rival with a box cutter on Yonkers Avenue. Just days later, on January 27th, Samuel Mapp, also known as Benji, fired multiple shots at a rival on Vineyard Avenue in an attempt to delete. Other notable incidents included Mapp shooting at a victim on Ravine Avenue in February 2017, a confrontation on Porch Street in March, and a chase involving 5 members targeting a rival at 174 Yonkers Avenue. The gang, known by names such as the Bloodstone Army, Bloodstone Assassins, and Bloodstone Villains, operated under a structured hierarchy with formal rules, including an oath, a constitution, and a coded dictionary. Investigators discovered these documents on a defendant's phone in February 2018. Social media also played a critical role in the gang's activities, with members openly sharing their exploits and coordinating attacks. One infamous example occurred on February 5, 2017, when Mapp received the location of a rival via private message before firing shots at him. Although the victim escaped unharmed, Mapp later mocked him on Facebook. Despite internal warnings to avoid publicizing their actions online, many members continued to use social media, leaving behind critical evidence for law enforcement. The gang's leadership was also implicated in these activities. James VVS Bryant, identified as the leader of the Bloodstones, recruited members, held meetings, enforced discipline, and issued orders to commit violence. He pleaded guilty in November 2018 to second-degree conspiracy and was sentenced to 5 to 10 years in prison. Similarly, Pearson, another prominent member, admitted to attempted assault and conspiracy. In September 2018, he pleaded guilty to slashing a rival's face with a sharp instrument and conspiring to use violence to control Nodini Hill. He received a combined sentence of 7 years for attempted assault and 4.5 years to 9 years for conspiracy. Trinard T.J. Jackson, another gang member, pleaded guilty in December 2018 to second-degree conspiracy. He admitted to plotting violence, including shootings and assaults, to assert control over Nodini Hill. Jackson was sentenced to 2.3 to 7 years in prison. These arrests followed a large-scale gang sweep in May 2018, during which 12 members of the Bloodstone gang were apprehended. The investigation, a collaboration between the Yonkers Police Gang Unit and the District Attorney's Office, significantly disrupted the gang's operations in Nodini Hill. Authorities emphasized that the arrests and subsequent convictions marked a major step toward restoring safety and stability to the community.
The defendants allegedly operated in and around the Nodine Hill area, specifically the Elm Street corridor, and were engaged in illegal narcotic sales, including undercover officers were utilized in the course of this investigation. Many of the defendants have extensive criminal histories and have been present or connected to group violence and violent incidents in the area. 2 were present at the Bodega Deli, where a Yonkers police detective was recently shot, the April 2021 shooting of a 6-year-old child on Ash Street, and the June 2021 drive-by shooting on Elm and Oak Streets, where 5 people were shot or associated with the same. A tenet of policing is where there are drugs, there are guns. If you look at this board, you could see some of the issues that we had with this group. More than 100 arrests, 50-plus convictions, 20 open cases, 5 gun arrests. So these are bad people.
In this operation, 5 indictments were unsealed, charging 65 defendants with a range of serious federal crimes. The operation primarily targeted 2 violent gangs, the Elm Street Wolves and the Cliff Street Gangsters. Members of these gangs were alleged to have brazenly sold drugs in Yonkers neighborhoods at all hours. To maintain their power, they resorted to violent intimidation and ruthless retaliation, which included beatings, shootings, and armed robberies. Tragically, at least 1 young man lost his life as a result of this violence. 52 of the defendants faced federal firearms charges in addition to drug-related offenses. Law enforcement also executed court-authorized search warrants at 13 locations, seizing cash, drugs, and multiple firearms. The first indictment involved 47 members and associates of the Elm Street Wolves, who operated a drug enterprise centered around Elm and Oak Streets. The gang's alleged ringleader, Stephen Knowles, led a 24/7 drug operation. Violence was a key tool for the Elm Street Wolves, particularly in their rivalry with the Strip Boys, a gang operating in the nearby Schlabbaum housing project. This rivalry culminated in the tragic events of July 4, 2009, when a confrontation led to the demise of 20-year-old Christopher Cockley and the wounding of another young man. The second indictment focused on 12 members and associates of the Cliff Street Gangsters. This gang allegedly distributed drugs and high-grade Mary, including a type known as Purple Haze, within a block of Cliff Street. Like the Elm Street Wolves, the Cliff Street Gangsters engaged in violent disputes with rival gangs, including the Strip Boys and GMF, another gang from the Schlabbaum housing project. 3 additional indictments charged 6 more defendants with narcotics and gun offenses, underscoring the wide-reaching impact of this operation. While the operation in Yonkers was a significant milestone, it was clear that the work was far from over.
A brutal attack outside a Yonkers bodega. The 33-year-old victim's teeth knocked out, and police say he was punched so hard it caused bleeding on the brain.
He had nothing to do with anything. He was walking into the bodega just to get a soda. That's all he was, and I want people to remember that because it's important that this could have been anybody.
Today, police announcing the arrest of 14 people, including 3 kids under 18, all said to be gang members police say have terrorized Yonkers for years.
These 14 people are responsible for 17 assaults, 30 robberies, and 10 firearm arrests. Just these 14 people.
The 300 Bloodhound Brims gang from Yonkers gained significant media attention on June 17, 2021, when over a dozen members violently assaulted and stomped a victim outside a bodega on North Broadway. The attack occurred while the gang was filming a rap video. The street corner, located at North Broadway and Warburton Avenues, was under video surveillance, which captured the brutal incident. Yonkers police quickly responded and arrested 5 individuals on the spot. Eventually, 16 young men, aged 16 to 23, were charged. Most have since been sentenced to several years in prison. The violent incident prompted further investigation into the gang's origins and activities. On November 4, 2022, Westchester County District Attorney Miriam Roca announced the sentencing of one of the gang members, DeVell Coates. After a week-long trial, Coates was found guilty of first-degree gang assault and criminal possession of a weapon. During the June 17 attack, Coates had struck a 33-year-old victim in the head with a glass liquor bottle, leaving him unconscious. Other gang members continued the assault, leaving the victim with permanent disfigurement, facial scars, and a traumatic brain injury. Coates, 20, faced a prison sentence of 5 to 25 years. 12 co-defendants also pled guilty. 9 had been sentenced as of 2022, with sentences ranging from 1 year of detention for a youthful offender to 8 years in prison for gang assault or robbery. 3 adolescent offenders, aged 18 and 19, received 5-year prison sentences, while others faced similar or longer sentences for their roles in the attack. Former Yonkers Police Commissioner John Mueller described the Bloodhound Brims as one of Yonkers' most violent gangs. The 300 Bloodhound Brims originated in the Cottage Place Gardens housing complex, reportedly forming around 2016 after the demise of a local teen, Jerry Crawford. Although Crawford's affiliation with the gang is unclear, his death during a police chase seemingly galvanized the group into organizing their criminal activities.
New information tonight on the stabbing death of a Yonkers teenager at a movie theater. 19-year-old Dej Asante Thomas.
Dej Asante Thomas, known by his friends as Thomas, was stabbed to death shortly after midnight while working at Ridge Hill Cinema, a job he only had for a few days. Police say the 19-year-old from Yonkers was in the lobby when someone came up to him. A fight started between the two, who police say knew each other. Thomas was stabbed in the chest and the suspect took off. Thomas died shortly after.
The gang gained notoriety in 2017 after a stabbing at Ridge Hill movie theaters that left a theater employee deleted. Michael Pettiford, a 300 BHB member, was arrested, convicted of second-degree deletion, and sentenced to 18 years in prison. Pettiford reportedly boasted about the crime from jail.
Yonkers police have doubled the reward for information from $5,000 to $10,000. They're trying to locate 15-year-old Jameer Thompson, accused in the murder of 18-year-old Marilyn Cotto Montanez. She was struck by a stray bullet last week after Thompson allegedly pulled a gun and fired a shot in a confrontation on a Yonkers street.
The young suspect left the YPD Youth Division 8 hours after his early morning surrender.
Who are you aiming for, Jameer?
Jameer Thompson, evading police for 8 days after he was named as the gunman who shot and 18-year-old Marilyn Montanez. Police say she was innocently walking her sister to a store when Thompson fired at a rival, mistakenly striking the victim. Thompson has a juvenile record, including arrests for robbing someone at knife point, possessing a loaded gun and stolen property, and stabbing someone during a dispute. Court records show his father died when Thompson was a young man. His social media accounts are filled with pictures of him showing off money, marijuana, and flashing gang signs.
Some new information on the stray bullet death of a high school student in Yonkers. Today, a 17-year-old pleaded guilty to second-degree murder. Jameer Thompson is accused of firing a gun at another person in April of 2019.
In 2019, another member, Jameer Thompson, attempted to rob a gold chain but accidentally deleted an innocent bystander, 18-year-old Marilyn Cotto Montanez, during a confrontation. Thompson, then 17, pled guilty to second-degree and was sentenced to 9.5 years in prison.
We are at the corner of Oak and Elm, and on a summer afternoon, a group of people hanging outside a bodega on the corner. Around 4:15, a sedan drove by and someone opened fire. 3 men and 1 woman struck by bullets. All have been taken to local hospitals. 1 of the victims is listed in serious condition. 3 are listed in stable. There are preliminary concerns that this may have been a gang-related shooting.
In June 2021, the gang was implicated in a drive-by shooting on Elm Street and Oak Street in Yonkers that left 4 people injured. Video surveillance led to 3 arrests in connection with the incident. Outside of Yonkers, 300 BHB members were involved in other violent crimes, including a 2017 Greenberg deletion by 16-year-old who deleted Joseph Smith after a robbery orchestrated by his brother, Vance Major. Despite many members being incarcerated, the 300 Bloodhound Brims continued to assert their presence. The gang, a faction of the nationwide Blood Street Gang, extended across New York City and the metropolitan area. While Yonkers has come a long way in its fight against gang violence, the battle isn't over. The city continues to grapple with the aftershocks of decades of crime, but law enforcement, community leaders, and local residents remain committed to keeping their streets safe. With major gang indictments taking down key players, the question remains: will Yonkers finally turn the page on its violent past, or is the next wave of crime just around the corner? Drop your thoughts in the comments below and let us know what you think about the future of Yonkers. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more street news and crime breakdowns.